Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Online Footprint Project. I'm your host, Ross McFarlane. Thank you so much for investing your time with us here today. Today's guest, I'm really looking forward to having coming on, Kory. Kahley here. He's basically went from basically a college dropout to 5-figure reoccurring months. So how fantastic is that? So he was making pizzas from 10 to 12 hours a day. Then at night would work in his own business. So I'm really looking forward to him joining us today. So if you're tuning in for the first time, the OFP is a daily online podcast that we do. It's a video podcast here within the group, and then I'll strip the audio and turn it into an actual podcast on iTunes. So really looking forward to having Kory on here. So I think we figured that out super quick in 5 minutes. So Kory's coming on now, which is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for tuning in with us here today. Once Kory jumps on, we'll learn a lot about how he went from basically making pizzas for 10 to 12 hours a day to now having reoccurring 5-figure months. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, it's just adding him in now. So we're just waiting for that to come on. So yeah, if it's your first time here, really appreciate you tuning in with us here today. For everyone that is aware of the Online Footprint Project, I've now got it up on iTunes, so I will give the link soon, and then I'll make sure I'll get the Android link for you very soon, shortly as well. So that'll be fantastic. So then that way you can listen to it at a later date if it's too hard for you to sit and watch the videos. So once this comes on, we'll get Kory to jump on here. So yeah, it'll be absolutely great to have him on today. We're fully booked for January, so we're already taking up dates for mid-Feb. So if you'd love to be on the show, my email is ross@rossmcfarlane.com, or just send me a Facebook message, whatever's easier for you. So, you know, the fact that we've only been doing this podcast for basically a few short weeks and we're already fully booked up until mid-Feb is fantastic. So thank you so much for contributing. So with Kory, it's just the connection was struggling a bit there. So I think we'll just try again in a sec. But yeah, so the feedback from this has been fantastic. So yeah, if there's anyone you know that you think may get value from these podcasts, or anyone you know that might want to come on the show, please add them to the group, because we just hit 670, and then by the end of January, we should be at about 1,000. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I think it's going to be fantastic. Super quick growth. The group only started 2 months ago. So yeah, we've really done really well. So thank you so much for being such a great part of this community and contributing so much. So I'm just there. So once he jumps in, we'll get all this started. So typically it's, you give it a few minutes. So I appreciate you, just sitting with me here. Once we get started, there'll be some fantastic value in regards to Facebook ads, working from home or working online. So there's going to be some great value here. So even if it means getting a coffee for a minute or two and coming back, that's great as well. Once Kory is on, then we can get this started. So typically it'll be, say, 5 or so minutes of just me rambling on, and then we get into it, and it's then packed full of value because we always share our guest stories, and then from there they'll offer a lot of value from their industry. So in this case, it's about digital marketing and selling online, and then certainly to get in touch with them at the end of the show, we can organize that as well. So I'll just trying to get in. It's cool, Kory. Take your time, man. There's no rush. Like earlier when you clicked it, it was entering you in, but then it said the internet was a bad connection. So if you just try it again, then we shouldn't have any issues there. So yeah, and then once it's a podcast, I'll edit out this first bit, so I'll be straight into it. So yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to that. I hope everyone's got their goals ready for 2018, because it's going to be a fantastic year. Like already so many people, they're keen, they're getting started. New things are coming around, new technologies, chatbots are really starting to grow from their infancy, which is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. The Facebook Lives as well is going to be something that's getting much bigger, because Facebook is really trying to compete, as a video platform now. So the fact that it's a live interview that we can do like this is just fantastic. So I even noticed that YouTube was now asking for feedback in regards to should they offer live as well. So I think it's really going to be a race to the top. So, if we can stick here, and this will be fantastic. And then the fact that YouTube's going to be offering lives potentially, then we'll see what happens there, because all of these podcasts, I'll put it into, say, iTunes and soon Android as well. But then in addition to that, I also strip the video and put it up on my YouTube channel, RossMac88. So from that as well, then we really, I guess, get 3 levels of exposure to that business, which is fantastic. And then for those at home that say, unable to watch it through here, there's different avenues that you can watch it or listen to. So that's going to be great as well. So Kory's just adding in. Kory, hey man, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear you fine. Yeah, sounds perfect.
Yeah, look, I had I had my mic set up, dude. I had it all ready for you. Check that thing out. You see that?
Yeah, I appreciate the effort. Like, that's full professional.
Yeah, man. I mean, I saw it was for your podcast. I was like, I got to make sure this guy has the hookup. So what's up,
Legend.
dude?
I'm fucking in my living room, like, so I appreciate it so much.
Hold on, I got to turn off my screen. I don't want to watch myself. It's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, yeah, man, thank you so much for joining us today. So, everyone at home, Kory Kahley, you know, he's basically done fantastically. He was making pizzas for 10 to 12 hours a day. Then at night, he'd hustle on his own business. And now he's making 5-figure months. So, man, thank you so much for spending the time with us here today. I really appreciate it. And no doubt that everyone at home is going to appreciate it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
No, absolutely. So, a quick question as well. You an iPhone or Android? Because yeah, I'm getting it all set up for the actual podcast itself, so I can send you a link when it's all set up.
I'm on an iPhone right now.
Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. So I'm up on iPhone, but turns out it takes 24 hours to refresh. So I set up yesterday, and then I've got about 12 hours. I'm just waiting for it to refresh to be up. So we'll get there.
Nice, man.
Yeah. All right, man. So yeah, I'd absolutely love to hear your story. So yeah, let's get into this pizza thing. So you were making pizzas, what, just for full time, and then you were working on your own business. What was happening there? That's really
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, that was gosh, that was 3 years ago at this point. But yeah, man, I mean, I was in college, and yeah, I mean, I had to pay bills, had to have a job. So I would just, I worked at a restaurant, Italian restaurant, and I would make pizza. And yeah, I mean, that was like, I guess, my hustle to keep the money coming in while I was in school. But I mean, so I kind of approached when I was in high school, I had my own little, like, it wasn't really a business, but I made enough money where I didn't have to do like what my friends had to do, where they had to pump gas or work like a minimum wage job. Like, I was on the tennis team, and my dad bought me a used like tennis stringing machine on Craigslist. I don't know if you know what Craigslist is, but it's like it's like a buy and sell site. And yeah, so I would string like the rackets for the girls and boys tennis team, and I make enough money doing that. And so like that appealed to me. And then like because of that, I was like, okay, I think I want to do something with business. It motivated me. And I've always been kind of like in tune with myself. And so when I got into school, I was there for about a year in college, and then I was sitting in English class, and somebody who's my good friend today, actually, he looked over at me, and he's like, oh, you did the homework? And I was just like, yeah. And he's just like, yeah, screw that. He's like, I'm gonna get rich. I was like, what do you mean you're gonna get rich? Like, he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't. He's like, I'm just here. He's like, I'm just here so my parents don't bother me. He's like, but I'll be rich soon. I'll have a BMW. I was just like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, that's like, what are you talking about? And like a BMW is not even like the greatest thing. So it's just like, it's so funny at the time. And of course, like what I'm describing is the typical network marketing pitch, which is so funny. Like, not that there's anything wrong with it. So it was my start. Like the start of my like online entrepreneurial journey was through network marketing. But it was just funny because I remember sitting in that class, and it wasn't the idea of selling this crappy energy drink that made me excited. It was the idea that I could like talk to people, right? Like I could create a paycheck, and I didn't have to get like interviewed. I didn't have to talk to anybody. I didn't have to sign into anything. Like I could have a paycheck, hit my computer. I'll whip my 3-set. Hey, I like a 3-set. I mean, I like BMWs. It was just funny because the pitch of this company was, win a BMW, win a Mercedes. They ended up crashing, so I'm sure everyone knows which company it is. But yeah, it was just what appealed.
I got a 3 Series as well. Don't buy one. They always break down.
Nice. I like them. They're nice. I like the M packages. Are cool. But anyway, so like what he had said, it really wasn't the concept of the network marketing that was interesting to me. It was just more so the concept of being my own boss at like a real level. So that motivated me. I'd hopped in I hopped in that company, hopped in another company, and then did that while I was in school for about 1.5 years, 2 years, like doing network marketing and being in school. And like I had some, I made some money, but nothing crazy, nothing more than a couple $1,000s in a month. Nothing to really like.
It's still pretty good for starting out.
Yeah, but nothing to really stop. Yeah, but it was inconsistent, so it wasn't enough to like not have a job that kept me weekly money coming in. So it wasn't like enough. And then I started messing around. Like then when I decided, all right, I don't want to be. I went to a mastermind, right, and that kind of changed my perspective on kind of creating my own product and service versus selling somebody else's. And so I was still in school, still working the job, but now like I was like, okay, I'm not going to do network marketing. I'm going to focus on, building my own business. And so I had attempted to go that route, and it worked out, and I had some success. And then I came across somebody who's a good mentor and friend of mine today, someone who he lived about really 20 minutes from where I grew up, had an office, and I've learned so much from this guy. And he's like, I looked through his YouTube channel, his profile. I'm like, whoa, this guy's like been doing multiple six figures online for longer than I've been alive. And so I was like, I got to link up with this guy, right? So this is so I was like, okay, so now at this point, I'm like, this was where I kind of like dropped out of school when I kind of came across, now I was like convinced, right? Now I had gone to an event, I'd met people, I'd met somebody who's like local who's done this, and who was, he was my dad's age. So the guy wasn't like someone my age just trying to convince me. It was someone who had a family, kids, a house, like real things to pay for. You know what I'm saying? Not just like flexing on the internet. Like they actually have to sustain like, a life, like pay bills, pay health insurance. Like it's not, as an entrepreneur, you have to take on that extra weight, right? Like maybe, so it to me, it was like, okay, this is legit. Right. And so at that point I just decided, you know what, for me, school's not the way. And so I had basically trained with him, and he had, like I said, he had an office, man. And that's where I really learned the roots of internet marketing. I learned what webinars were. I learned like copywriting, like building out funnels, pages. And my main task, the main task that I had was leads, right? Handling and calling and closing leads. And like that changed my life, because what it made me realize, right, was because what I wanted to do, I wanted to always sit there. I wanted to build the websites. I wanted to write stuff. I wanted to send out the emails. Like the thing I didn't want to do was get on the phone with people. And so I would sit, and like my guy would come in, and we would argue, because I'm like, I don't feel like being on the phone today. Like, all these other people on the internet, they're not, nobody's on the phone. Everybody has like a push button system, and like that's a lie. And so, but like what it made me realize is, through the thick and thin, I was able to push through and finally dial in on just talking with people, presenting an offer, right, and focusing on deals. And like that started to, that income started to change my life like that, because I wasn't making all of it, right? It was a percentage of what he was doing. I was working with him in his office, but it changed my life. And so then when I was finally able to take all this stuff I've learned over the years, right, and break in and finally just like run my own show, if I ever look, like there's all these things you can measure, right? You can measure how many people click your website. You can measure how many leads you have. But at the end of the day, the really big indicator, at least for what I believe, for someone, scaling to, multiple 5 figures a month, even to, I think, a low 7-figure barrier, I think the real indicator, if you're selling a service, is, how many people are you presenting your offer to, right? And so, I looked at what worked for me in the past. It was like, wow, like the thing that made me the most money, the thing that drove the register, was how many people I presented this offer to. And so whenever I look at my business, if things like don't look right, I look at the past week, and I look at my calendar, right? And I look at, okay, how many people did I present this offer to? Yeah, exactly. It's a contact sport, but it's a numbers game. Someone's dropping some comments there. But yeah, man, that's just my piece there.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick.
I kind of went off on a tangent, so you're gonna have to guide me through this thing, because I'm infamous for that. But yeah, man,
that's what this is all about. Like,
that's kind of, it is. That's like, God.
Yeah, but that's it. Like the other day we had a guest and we talked about video games for 20 minutes. Like it's more just coming on and sharing a story, learning more about you, and sure, offering some value as well. But man, it's just talking some shit and enjoying ourselves. That's really what it comes down to.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
So no, this has been great so far. Like, but yeah, absolutely, I agree with Patrick and agree with you that it's a numbers game. So the more people or the more eyes you can get in front of, and the more ears that can listen to you, the more even if you've got, for someone that's got like a really, shitty pitch, it's a numbers game. So obviously they're going to have to work a lot harder to get those conversions. But if you have done it so you got your pitch down pat, then it's still a numbers game. It's just less people to see. So it's really just getting out there and focusing on what's your biggest, money bringer, your revenue stream.
Yeah, it's a mix, right? Like the numbers game is subjective, right? Because then you could say, well, I want quality over quantity. So it's figuring out, like, everyone has to do the math for their business, right? So I don't know what you sell. If you sell something for $2,000, your quality and quantity combo is going to look different than somebody that sells something for 25,000. So it's, you know what I'm saying? Like you need, everyone needs a certain number, right? To fit into the numbers game factor of things, but it's also about like also being in front of the right people. You know, nobody
So I guess
nobody runs nobody runs a consulting business like Groupon. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's more about qualified leads and then the numbers, like putting those two together. That's where you're going to strike fire.
Yeah. Man, my arm's getting sore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How's your phone holding up there, man? I might have to jerry rig this thing. My arm's getting sore.
Do whatever you can do, man. I bought this tiny little tripod. It's about this big, so it just sits just in front of me. So for as much as got a home as setup, I've got at least little things here to make it easy for me. So I got hands free.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, because if you come prepared, you know, you got your awesome mic ready and you got your laptop set up or your computer set up, and then I throw a spanner in the works and say, oh, hey, it's actually live through a group, and then it doesn't allow you to do that, then it's really, I guess, just a last minute, just rolling with the punches.
Yeah, now I'll be good. I'm going to rest it on my desk here for now.
Yeah, that's man. Cool. By the end of it, you'll just have like one massive forearm. They'll be like, what you been doing in that room for an hour?
Yeah, right. The lady's out there making dinner. She'll be suspicious.
So I hear male voices. So, oh, never mind.
Yeah, it's just me and Ross. It's like the Geico commercial, you know, where he's what is it? Is it the Geico? It's one of those commercials where they're on the phone at like 3 a.m. You know, talking to the car insurance person. That's funny, man.
Yeah, I'll have to look on YouTube for that one because I was more thinking of from Family Guy when there's that when Quagmire figures out that there's internet porn, that it's a thing, and they're like, hey, Quagmire, we haven't seen you for like 3 weeks, and he comes out all like days. He's like, what are we talking about? Like, what day is it?
Oh yes, Jake from State Farm. That's what it is. It's Jake from State Farm.
Okay, yeah, cool. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, so man, that's cool. So yeah, you hooked up with someone that was kind of your dad's age, so he had that social proof and that he had a family and you know, he had real bills and he had medical insurance and all this. So you know, it gives a lot more legitimacy to what he was doing, opposed to, as you said, you know, flexing on the internet. So how did you know that, you know, from there with working with him, how did you know to really take that next step? I think that's going to be a really interesting you know, piece of value to offer for everyone. So yeah, what was the next steps? Well,
it was kind of like the same process. It was just a more advanced, or not more advanced. I mean, just a higher level process of what I did to get from my job to where I was. Right. So it's like now I had something that provided consistent income, but it wasn't like working in a restaurant. It was very similar to what I wanted to do. So it was experience plus the cash flow, and then so when I had my free time, again, it's you know, sacrifice is a big thing. So I would take my free time, and I'm like, okay. I take what I learned there, and it's like, what kind of business do I want to build out of it now? And then so, you know, eventually I would just spend time, and it came to a point where, you know, the income that I could generate running my own show was more, and it was just more fulfilling, right? Like that's the ultimate goal. And so the person I was working with knew I wanted to do that too, right? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to propel others, right? You're going to push others to do the same as you. So it was a good,
absolutely.
It was a good experience, you know. And so, I mean, yeah, man, I just, like I said, I tried a lot when I had the chance to, and that's, you know, I don't think, if, you know, there's probably people watching, or just people who might come across this, or just there's a big crowd of people who are in the stage where like trying is perfectly cool, right? Like trying different stuff. Like don't be discouraged because you come across somebody and, you know, it's like their way is the only way. You know, you can make almost anything work, right, with a right amount of patience or right amount of work. Obviously, you don't want to slave your whole life away to something, but there's really no right or wrong in it. I think I think everybody should go through a stage of trying. And you know, if you really look at if you take a step back from business and you kind of look at some of the world in general, we can kind of see that concept of not allowing people to try is kind of screws things up. I mean, look at you know, the standard education system. People come out of high school, and I think college can be a great thing, but I think it's ridiculous to take somebody right out of high school, right? They're 17, 18 years old, and now, you know, you're 17, you're 18, like, you know, 2 months ago, your biggest priority was like going to a party or like hooking up with a girl or just doing something, like any high schooler would do, right? And now 2 months later, okay, decide on what you want to spend 50 grand a year on, right? Like make an investment. That's a multiple six-figure investment in yourself. And it's like, not that people shouldn't have that opportunity, but to make it like, to just go right from one thing to the other without taking the time to step back and actually try and see what you want to do. It's like, there's these huge piles of debt. There's plenty of people like myself who just have an uncompleted degree because it's just like, you kind of just like go into it because almost kind of the peer pressure factor, right? Teachers and people are like, go do this, go do that. And so I think it's the same thing with business. Don't feel too pressured. There's times where I've just stopped, right? I've shut something down and I decided, I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to look at my options and see which direction do I really want to go. Cause it's man, like it's a long journey, right? It's not about the quick buck. It's not about the quick win. It's about finding something long-term that does it all for you, right? It's not just about the one thing. So I think, I think having a trying stage in the entrepreneurial journey is a huge thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because it's about failing forward as well, like trying, because when, we hear these, people that have, reached such high levels of success, there's always the focus on that, but there's never the backstory of, well, what about your, 4, 5, 6, 7 failed businesses that you tried to do before getting there? And I think that's part of the journey as well, to really fail forward and learn from your mistakes and your experiences. And in Australia, we've got a thing called the gap year. So once you do finish high school, it's recommended to now take a year off. So that way you can find yourself and figure out what you want to do. In some cases, like with the military, they'll offer you a gap year so you can at least still get paid to figure out what you want to do. But I think it's fantastic. And I'm the same. Like they started to bring that idea in like well after I'd finished high school. So I took my uni dropout or college dropout.
Yeah.
But it's that peer pressure of just, this is what you do. You go to uni and then you spend, 40, 50, 60K on whatever you want to do. And then you're in debt for the next 10 years because you're paying off a little bit off your paycheck each time. And, you're not going to really be hitting any, good coin for at least a few years, which by then, if it's not for you, then you've kind of really not wasted, 4 years, but in essence, you could have utilized that time better to do something you're more passionate about. So,
and that's the thing.
Really
and honestly,
thing.
Really, and going after what you're passionate about honestly makes more sense because like it's crazy. I remember being in high school. I remember sitting in the class, and they like the last year of school, our senior year, they took us to like the computer lab, and like they had us do an assignment where you basically chose what you might want to go study in college based on the likeliness of getting a job. Like, if there's a good job market, if there's a good like rising market for it. I mean, not that that's the worst way to decide on something, but like I still know people, like I know people who have 3 years of an accounting degree and $85,000 in debt, and their sole reason for initially wanting to go do accounting was because there's always going to be a job, or it's a good paying job, and it's like,
okay,
and it's just
it's too safe,
it's like that's like such a bad reason. That's such a bad reason to go, right? And it's just like, one, you're not going to make that much money, and two, it's just like, just go do something. You could have, as like Gary Vee's a good guy too. People are choosing jobs based on there will be a job or degrees.
Oh, there will be a degree. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they are choosing degrees on that, man. And it doesn't make sense, right? Because like, if you want to go do something for the money, right? Go study capitalism and go build and sell and buy. You know what I'm saying? Like, go do that, right? I mean, but it's funny, right? Because that same crowd of people, they're the same crowd of people that will like jump on my Facebook post and say, oh, you're an asshole, Kory. Money doesn't matter because we'll drop like a case study of doing like X amount of numbers, right? And it's like, really, like, no, I know money doesn't matter to me. That's why like I've created a business where it doesn't matter, like that's why that's why I'm not 80 grand in debt. That's why I don't trade in 60 hours a week for a paycheck, which is money, right? Like that's so funny because like a lot of people's lives actually are deeply tied to it. It's a very big thing, right? It's either a roadblock or it's fuel. So it's interesting, man, that the whole education system. Really, but it's cool because like, I think my girlfriend's sister, right? Like she's a doctor now, right? And so something like that, you could never discount that. Like that, absolutely, I agree. They should have to keep going through that many years of school. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would never, first of all, I wouldn't have the balls to cut like into somebody or like fix somebody's body. But second of all, like I wouldn't have the mental bandwidth to go through that process of being qualified to do it. So I do have respect for different forms of higher level education. It's definitely necessary, but
absolutely,
but there's so much that it's just like, it's just a straight business, right? Like I see an ad for a college, and I see an ad for like some guru promising like $100,000 in a month, and it's like, I'm kind of like trying to find the difference, you know what I'm saying? And it's a little ridiculous.
They're both business. So. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So Amanda says career aptitude tests are a vague guideline. Yeah, absolutely. Except military doctors, right? But yeah, so that's the case, man. Like it's really, you know, you see a college or a university, and they're a business as well. Like they're in business of getting students, and they're selling you on the fact that you're going to get job stability, and they're selling you on the fact that you're going to make X amount. But you know, so much respect for, you know, those that do go through it, because for myself, and having audited myself, I don't do well in a structured learning environment because I get really bored really easily. Whereas I can buy a textbook from like the, you know, discount store and just read that like a novel. So, you know, for those that do actually sit through it, and especially say doctors as the example, where they've got to learn 6 years just to get their degree, plus then every, you know, year they got to do more and more training and study. So, you know, absolute respect for them in that regard, but it's just not for everyone. And yes, it's not for me. So you got to kind of pick and choose what you want to do, and make sure you're passionate about it.
Yeah, man. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with like, you know, how colleges, they're in business for getting students. I mean, think about how many of us have something on the internet where we're getting students, right? There's nothing wrong on selling somebody a result or telling somebody, hey, like
exactly.
the ideal outcome is this, but it's just like, right? Like you'll see someone online buy something for $2,500, they'll invest in the course, and like if they don't make $100,000 like really quickly, they're like, oh, like that's a scam. Like I paid them, like that was the worst investment ever. And that's like a terrible way to quantify things. But then, you know, people will chuck up, you know, $50,000 a year for like just someone to stand in front of a room and teach them content that's just like so repetitive and outdated. So it's the craziest thing, but whatever.
Yeah. Well,
so it's interesting.
I mean,
it's a good topic. It's a good topic to speculate on. Maybe we'll solve, you know, like I think the rising entrepreneur community, though, I think it is interesting. I think a lot of people are having are kind of like waking up to, you know,
yeah, they are.
You know, you have like your younger crowd, right? Your younger generation that I think is just royally fucked. Like I'm talking like the kids who are just like glued to like Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. Like they don't know the difference between like porn and a real girl. They don't know how to talk to somebody. They don't know how to pick up a phone. Like there's that younger generation, which like I just, you know, good luck. But then I believe there's also the younger generation that's like, man, I would love to be 14 or 15 or 16 in high school and come across something like cryptocurrency or e-commerce and be able to like study that and spend my summer like selling t-shirts on the internet. Like that stuff just didn't hit me, you know? And so there's that crowd of like young people that I'm really excited for. So that's going to be freaking cool to see. But yeah, the crowd that's been the crowd that has become lost to technology, you know, like the portion of the world that's kind of been left with their pants down. We'll see what happens there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's the whole entrepreneurship. I mean, the phrase itself is, you know, trending as such at the moment, but from that, even once that trend begins to, you know, fade away, I really do think that a lot of people, it has helped to open their eyes to there is more than just working the 9 to 5. There is more to just having to get up every morning and just can't be doing, you know, some job that you hate just for the sake of, you know, paying rent or paying your mortgage or whatever. So, you know, at 16 or 15 to come across cryptocurrency as a, you know, arbitrary example would be awesome. Because I remember when I was in high school, I was making fake IDs for everyone, and they wouldn't be able to get you in a club, but you could at least go to the bottle store and buy beer with them. And no, you know, this is like unheard of at my school that someone at 17 or 16 had a business. They're like, oh my God, like this is amazing. And I was like, well, shit, well then buy it.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's the coolest thing. It's, you know, and like if someone, I mean, there's nothing. Someone's working a 9 to 5. Someone has a job, and they're like, they come home and they're happy, and like they're happy and they're
if
healthy,
they're happy,
and
great.
their life
Like
makes
absolutely,
sense for them.
if
Then
they're happy,
that's great, right? It's just it's that big crowd of people that's, you know, that's complaining, right? But it's like if you take if you trade Netflix in for maybe like a monthly subscription to a book club, right? If you trade in a couple hours a weekend for some serious reading and some serious like self meditation, there's just it's like 5 and 10% sacrifices that compound. It's never, you're not going to be able to like take off a whole weekend and then build a company. It's if you can start segmenting your time and managing your time better, then you have the ability to slowly create something that works long term.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to make as well about segmenting your time. So, Kory, when you started, growing your business, how did you figure out what to segment in regards to, the importance and because you mentioned meditation there, so I'll assume you do a little bit here and there. And how did you know, or is this something you've always kind of had in the background, or have you kind of capitalized on that more?
No, I mean, like I said, man, it's really funny. There's always, even like on a daily basis, I remind myself to keep it simple, right? Like simple is better. And like I said, I mean, like what I said earlier, and I'll say it again, just because it's a gold nugget if somebody missed it before. Like I said, for me, if you're selling something like a high ticket service, even if you're working in a client-based business, there's, like I said, there's all the indicators, right? How many email opt-ins you got, how many clicks you got, how many likes you got on your Facebook post. There's all these indicators that could mean something. But then, like, for me, the biggest lead indicator, again, is how many good people did I present my offer to? So it's like, that's really what I build my business around, right? And then there's extensions of that, right? It's like, okay, Kory, well, how do you create situations where you can present that offer, right? And then it's like, so really, it's a matter of understanding that simplicity is important, finding your lead indicator. So for me, it's, the amount of qualified people that I'm presenting an offer to, and then it's just reverse engineering, right? So how did I create those phone calls, right? And so I'll look at, okay, how did I have my last 10 phone calls? Were they mostly from a Facebook ad? Were they mostly from writing content? Were they mostly from doing things like this, right? Joint venture content. Like this alone, this for you right here, this is like, people are like, how do you build a business? How do you do marketing? How do you get sales? Like like this is a perfect example, right? What you've done is really smart. You've taken people like myself. There's other great people coming on. I can't remember a bunch of names. I remember Michael Marcial because I'm having sushi with him tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
I remember his name. And so there's some really cool. So you've grabbed all these really cool people who all have a share of a certain market, right? And we all have audiences. And then you get to all bring us into this place that now you own. That's your platform. We appreciate it because we get to connect with new people. You appreciate it because you're getting to talk to percentages of our audiences. But ultimately, right, this could be a way for you to go and generate calls for your business, right? Maybe down the road you teach people how to leverage joint venture content to build an authority platform, right? And maybe that's like a niche you take down the road. And so this could literally be a means of you building a pipeline. So I really think it's not so much about technicality. It's more so about understanding the foundations, finding the lead indicator, then reverse engineering back to how you're creating that lead indicator. And it can be through a variety of different ways, right? You can have a really fancy, complex marketing funnel, or you can pick up the phone and call somebody. So, but again, it comes
it's really whatever works best for you.
Being able to identify those points took a long time, right? Like, it was important for me to spend an extra half hour on my website tweaking my copy or tweaking my colors, or I thought it was important to have, certain conversations or go to certain events. And then you learn, it's like, once you learn those important points, you're able to reverse engineer and find, what's worth it and what's not, in terms of spending your time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really valuable. And I think everyone listening in today is going to get a lot of value from that. So, thank you so much so far. It's been awesome. So for everyone listening at home, we'd love to hear from you just to make sure that you're actually getting value from this, just so we know to keep doing more videos like this and more podcasts. So if you could type in #value, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. And for those that are, on the replay there, #replay, just because we would love to know that this is the right way for us to be investing our time in to help you at home. Because if not, then we can spend our time doing something else and leveraging it that way. So thank you so much. So Kory, what would you say is next on the list? What are your big plans for 2018?
What are my plans for 2018? I have, it's funny because I think I wrote this to you in a bullet point. Man, mostly we want to. It's crazy because I don't know exactly, right? Like, this journey's been so crazy and things have changed like so rapidly at some point. So I can't give you an exact answer, but right now my plan is to serve all the current clients I have at the highest level, right? Obviously, that's first. Take care of what you got on your plate. Take care of my clients, right?
Yeah.
We have our student program that we really want to focus on. That's going to be a small environment, and we want to scale that to the cap that we have set. And we have the numbers broken out, what we want to do for that. And really the goal is to, once we hit a certain percentile in terms of student volume, we'll have the resources to be able to put on live events, and we want to do 4 of those a year. So initially those will be,
cool.
We'll do 2 here in Salt Lake City and then 2 over in Orlando where my business partner lives. And we just want to grow it from there. I mean, but that's going to be, I'm thinking that's going to be like 70-80% of our focus for the year is really that. From everything I've done in 2017, I still have a lot of people asking me about, like Facebook ad services and some of the other things we've done in terms of like DFY services and done with you. So, we'll see with what I have left of my time. I'll decide with what I want to do with it. It's crazy because, like I said, it's like there's so much abundance in every day. There's so much abundance in each week, month, and year. And so I know I'll meet more incredible people like yourself this year. I know I'll have more incredible opportunities.
Thanks, man.
So, we have our initial plans to hit our numbers and hit our quota and influence and impact the people we want in terms of our student program. If we get, the right clients who come to us and we want to work with them on projects, we'll do that too. But other than that, I'll leave, like I said, I'll leave 10 or 20% of my bandwidth open for opportunity, education, and really just see where you really got to be. Not that it's like I'm going to just go take on a new business model, but you never know. You never know who might want to do a course with you or might want to do something with you or an event or, so it's crazy how things take a turn of events when you just keep moving through your own stages of personal growth.
Yeah, and staying flexible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Well, yeah, I'd love to hear about this mastermind. So for everyone listening in at home, how will they get in touch with you for this? And I'd love to know more about how you can help everyone listening in at home.
Yeah, we have a webinar that's just about ready to launch, which we'll be going public with that. Obviously, you can reach out to me, my business partner, Robert. I don't think he's on here right now. He's probably at Disneyland. He's a Disney fanatic, man, but it's cool. Like, I mean, I'm a snowboarding fanatic, so he likes Disney. I like snowboarding, but he's probably there right now. But you can reach out to us. In terms of the mastermind, I probably won't, like I said, it's really going to be, we are really focused on, first of all, we do have a set of students in there already. We're focused on that. And then we're just focused on the small number of people we're going to serve. So I probably won't describe what the actual program entails. It is called Get Big Clients. So maybe that's a little self-explanatory. But it's not, but just to kill the, it is not another course on how to build a consulting business. That is not what it is. It really goes into actually, we really want to focus on, we want to help people create, what we've created. So without getting into details, what I mean by that is actually a real platform, the ability to do business, with control. So for me, like I was talking to one of our students the other day on the phone, and right after him, I talked to somebody who was a potential prospect who came to us struggling. And I'm talking to my student, and he's talking to me about him sending out emails and getting calls booked for clients, right? Like people who want to talk to him, right? Because he's been putting out content, he's been building his platform. He's an authority figure. He has people who want to speak with him that are ready to speak with him, right?
Yeah.
And then a half hour later, I talked to somebody who's sending 200-300 cold emails a day, calling 100 people a day, and can't even book a call, And so, so it makes me so I step back and look at the situation. I'm like, first of all, people don't even want to do, the guy who I talked to is struggling. People don't even want to go through that. I don't care what anyone says. Like, no, like I've done door-to-door sales. I've done cold sales. Like, dude, it is not for the lighthearted. It's not for the lighthearted. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you don't, you can do it to gain the experience. But like in terms of growing, in terms of scaling, you can't sit there and like do cold calls. Like that's why people have call floors, right? That's why people build out teams when you're actually doing a real service-based agency.
You'll burn out so easily.
Yeah. So, we're focusing on people who, maybe they, they're not at the point, right, where they're not at the point where they're going to go scale a team, right, where they can leverage all these resources, right, but they can build themselves a platform And so even me, man, I mean, I have my website, and every day it's like, even when I'm sleeping, like I can wake up, I can see that people opted into my list. I can see that people watch some videos from me.
Cool.
And so like this stuff doesn't happen overnight, but again, it's like building the platform the right way, you create leverage for yourself. How could you, if you're sitting there always doing those tasks, always doing the outreach, always doing the things to create new business for yourself, and there's not like a compounding sort of effect happening in your business. It's like, how could you even do something like take off for the holidays, right? I could take off for the holidays because I know I can send an email, right? I can reach out to people. I have it set up where I don't have to take everything on my plate, right? And so that didn't happen quickly, right? It came through. I did the thing where I walked into businesses. I did the thing where I called, like, I've gone through all of it, right? And so now we're like, because we've done the numbers, because we've helped other people, because we've failed so many different times, and we've kind of come to a conclusion of, okay, what actually works for building something that's real, that's going to last long term. And that's basically what we have packaged up in our program. And so it's a group mastermind that we really want to. We're close to the number. We'll hit it, but it's just a matter of how quickly. Like I said, we want to hit that certain percentile of students, and then we want to add the live events, because we just think that's fun, man. I mean, that really, when you look at today's market, like, yes, we teach stuff that other people don't teach, right? But we also teach stuff that you could consider like, oh, like someone else teaches it in a different way, right? But like, when you really look at today's market, people work with you, one, because they like you, and two, because and I talk about this a lot on my social channels, you have an experience that you've gone through that they either want to go through, or they're going to go through something similar, right? So I always tell people this, because I have people come to me and they're struggling, and they're like, man, like, I see you put out content and it gets you deals, and then I put out content and it doesn't get me deals. And I'm just like, yeah, because like my content, I'm not like reading a Google thing. I'm not reading somebody else's story and then writing content, right? I'm taking my own experiences that I've created and then turning that into content. Yeah. So it's not just general knowledge. There's insight attached to it, right? So I look at the people who I've paid heavily to help me in my business, and the knowledge they gave me was great, right? But the experiences they've specifically gone through was really what mattered to me, right? They've gone through some serious stuff that, like, it was unique to me, right? The way they presented it was unique. Their experience was unique. So, I look at the people who come work with us, and, there's 5, 10, 20 other people who they could go work with, who could probably provide them what you might call maybe a similar service or whatever. Like, there's competition in every good field. But the reason why, there's successful people, multiple successful people in every market, right, is because people want to work with that brand or company or person because they like them, and they like that specific experience and insight that person can provide. So,
exactly. For 2017, Sorry, man. I was just saying, 2017, 2018, completely agree. Like, a personal brand or branding is really the resume you now need to land jobs. To land to clients and things like that, because they actually know who you are. They're used to you. They see your content. They actually engage with your content, and it sounds like you're leveraging that fantastically, which is awesome.
I mean, and it's just like I said, it's really, I always like to say this: consistency yields predictability, right? So because I've done consistent actions to build my platform. Right, because you could go look at my website, you could go follow me to a T, right, and you could set it up. But like, the reason it won't work for you is because you don't understand that, like, I've been consistent with it, right? Obviously, if someone's listening, they're gonna do good because they understand the consistency factor behind it. But the reason why now I can wake up and, like, I literally watch it, bro. I'll watch somebody viewed your profile on LinkedIn, wants to connect on LinkedIn, wants to connect on Facebook, opted into this. Watch this video, and I'll look, and I'll have 7, 8, and I can literally watch how interested somebody is, right? If somebody just sent me a friend request, okay, cool. But if I watch somebody who sends me a friend request, joins my group, connects with me on LinkedIn, opts into my list, watch my sales video, like, dude, I'm giving that person a phone call right then and there. So again, like, that's the best, right? Like it's like, I remember it sucks to have to wake up and go and okay, who am I going to talk to today, right? Like, that's a very stressful feeling. And really, if I think back to that feeling, I'm like, hey, I'm going to work an extra hour today because I never want to have to go back to that, right? Like, the best feeling is what we've created now, where you can wake up and you have business in front of you, right? And that's really how you scale, right? Because if you like, you want to be able to look 30, 60 days out and see, okay, wow, we have people to talk to every single week. All we have to do is master that conversation, right? Lead those people to the right place. Figure out, can we help them? Cool, we can help them. Lead them to the right place, right? Like, it eliminates all the headache that 90% of people are dealing with. So again, it's not an overnight process, but I say if you're going to go spend 3 months, trying to cold call, like, really, I would spend 3 months building up a platform that lets you create evergreen business. It's just, I've always been I remember being in business for the short term. I remember wanting to wake up to the quick money, and I never woke up to any sort of quick money. Then when I shifted my mindset to wanting a long-term business, it's ironic. I actually woke up to like some much bigger payments and bigger days. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, able to just like pay off a credit card in one shot, like move across the country to my dream place, like live the life I want. And like, this stuff just started to happen. And like all that stuff that I just described to you, like, I would just think about it. I'm like, ooh, quick money. Like, I can make quick money, and then that stuff's going to happen. And then when I finally was like, okay, that shit's going to be hard to get. Like, dude, to move to the apartment you want across the country, to have the life you want, to get out of debt, to have the financial freedom you want, like, that's going to be, like, be realistic with yourself, right? Like, there's no such thing as getting rich quick. Once I was real with myself, I was able to settle down, focus on what mattered. And then, like, over the course of time, the money and payments I wanted to have, like, they ended up coming, right? But it was different than I thought. It was actually engaging on a real level, actually dealing with real people, right? There's no, and maybe there is a couple people who it happened for, but there's no system you're going to set up where you wake up and you have like $40,000 pumped into your account, from 4 perfect high-paying clients without ever speaking to them or talking to them. It's just it's a pipe dream, right? Yeah. Are there people who do 40K a day in e-commerce? Yes. And that's great. And there's people, and like, so there's business models, right? Like, that's not the relevancy factor of the discussion, right? So it's crazy, man. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's all about that long-term consistency and really getting to where you want to be, opposed to just getting to where you want to be tomorrow. Like, it really is about putting in the time and really just working through everything. So yeah, no, it sounds like you've got it down pat, Kory. So this has been awesome. It's been great chatting to you, man. I've really enjoyed this, and there's been a lot of value there for the audience. So
I appreciate it, man.
I've been really appreciative as well. Yeah, no, this has been really good fun. So in regards to everyone to be able to get in contact with you, in the comments below, if you're able to drop as many links as you like, whether it's your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook group as well, or any other links or anything like that you've got on offer, then I'd absolutely love for you to do that too. Just so that way, if anyone listening in today or that are on the podcast or whatever do want to get in contact, they can.
Yeah, I'll drop. I'll drop my website. You could stalk me through there. Pretty much leads to everything. So one way or another, you could get all my info from my website. So I'll just drop it there.
Awesome.
I don't need to.
Patrick says, basically, how I do organic methods versus ads right off the bat, build something that lasts versus quick ROIs. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for that, Patrick.
Yep, that's exactly.
I completely agree.
That's exactly one of my philosophies. Yep, and you can do that. There's so many different platforms. You can write blogs on Medium. You can connect with people on LinkedIn, Facebook. Me, I have Instagram's cool for me, right? It's crazy. Use each platform for its own unique thing, and yeah, man, it's awesome. I agree with that. So. Yeah, bro. Oh, I have one last piece here that I have written down, which is just because I almost say it in every call I have, and I just have to say it on this.
Definitely, go for it.
It's a Bruce Lee quote, which I'm sure people have heard before, right? It's I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. And it's related to business because I see a lot of people going out there and they're struggling, and it's because they're trying to like backflip and punch and kick and do like all this different stuff going into the market, right? And like, if you would just narrow down, right? Like for me, the kick that I practiced 10,000 times was Facebook ads, right? I didn't go do Facebook ads, SEO, copywriting, digital marketing, all this stuff. Like for me, the kick that I practiced 10,000 times was Facebook ads, right? And so people come to me and they're like, man, like he's deadly with that thing, right? And like, now if I wanted to go expand into other things, like I always have something that people are like, okay, like that's that's his thing, right? That's the sharpest sword. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of power in finding that one kick, right? And then practicing that 10,000 times. It's really like, that's actually how you turn a skill set into an asset. So it's cool. 10.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
Kory, that's awesome. All right, everybody. So Kory, Kahley, yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for your time. And everyone at home, thank you for investing your time with us here today. We appreciate every single one of you. So Kory, it's been an absolute blast, man. So thank you again. And we'll keep in touch because I'd love to hear how everything's going over the next few months.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much for having me. And I'll see you later.
Awesome. All right, man. Catch you soon. And thanks, everyone.